do try to do the best you can, but also do it within your limits. If there's something that you can't do or it pushes you too far, whether it's a movement, whether it's a pace, whatever it may be, just do stuff at your own pace. And if you need to take any break for a rest or hydration or whatever it may be, feel free to do so. There is no pressure to do things exactly how I'm doing it or anything along those lines. So just take it at your pace. That's the main thing here. Good. Alrighty then. So with today's session, as I already mentioned, it is a mindful movement session. There's a lot of breathing, a lot of mobility work. Stuff that we throw in has got some Tai Chi elements, yoga elements, and lots of other things too. We're going to mix and match throughout the couple of weeks coming up, and it'll be different every session. So what you do today won't be the same as what we do next week or the week after and the week after that. But we have elements that we mix in and out and try and keep it interesting for you. Good. All right, that's enough talking. Should we get on with it? I think so. All right, so let's make sure we got in a space where we've got plenty of space around us, so we're not going to hit anything or anyone. And we're just going to start just a nice deep breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just nice deep breathing, keeping that going. And if you haven't already, let's close down the eyes as you keep that breathing going in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you do so, try and imagine it in your mind, the air rushing into your lungs, the chest fills up, it expands, it lifts up slightly. And as you breathe out, the shoulders relax down. You're breathing out, the lungs reduce down in size. And just almost picture that in your mind's eye and be aware of the movement that your body is doing. Don't just breathe, notice how that breathing is affecting you as you're doing it. So just nice, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And this is going to help to calm us down, bring that nervous system down, and help us to be in a much more relaxed state here. And this is going to help us to lock in and focus on today's session. So keep your breathing going. As you do it here, I just want you to, first of all, thank yourself for being here today. Often arriving at the session is the hardest part of it, especially for us who have any sort of disability or impairment. So just being here alone is a great step in the right direction. But now we are here, we've got an hour together, so we want to make the most of it. So we want to make sure that we stay focused and stay in control of ourselves all the way through today's session. If you do find your mind wandering, that's absolutely fine. Just bring it back in line, focus on the movement, focus on the breathing, whatever we're doing in that moment, that's our focus. So just staying focused throughout the session. Keep that breathing going there. And as you do so, start to sit up nice and straight now if you're not already. And we could start to open up our eyes again. And as you're breathing now, I want you to lift the shoulders up. And as you breathe out, we just want to relax them down. And just in time in your own breath. That doesn't have to be the same timing as myself, but just whatever it takes to, however long it takes to breathe in, you lift the shoulders up. And however long it takes to breathe out, you relax them back down again. And just go back and forth between the two, nice and gentle and controlled. As you come up, almost squeeze those shoulders as well. Really tense the muscles up in the shoulders there, and then really relax them off as you put them down again. This contracting and relaxing of the muscle helps to pump blood to the area, and it also helps it to relax as well. And this just allows us to essentially warm up the muscle in a nice, easy, relaxed way. Because as we go through this session, our movements are going to get a little bit more invigorating. Not too much so that it's a cardio session though, but it's going to get, a greater range of motion. And we all just want to make sure we're nice and warmed up for that. So just nice shrugging here. Good. Now what we're going to do is the same sort of thing, but instead of going up and down, we're going to go forwards and then pull the shoulder blades together. I'll do it from the sides because it might be a bit easier to see from there. So as you breathe out, push the shoulders forwards. As you breathe in, squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then breathe out, push forwards. Breathe in, pull it back. Just going back and forth between the two here. So you're almost like rounding over the shoulders at the front. Squeeze them as you come back. Good. Back and forth between the two. Nice work. Okay, we're going to do some shoulder rotations now. So just get nice, gentle rotating forwards. We don't have to go for a huge range of motion. Just start to mobilize them, getting them warmed up. Over the next couple of exercises, we're going to be progressing through this as well. So we're just going to slowly but surely warm up those shoulders, get things moving, and help to mobilize those shoulders. Good. And let's change direction now. So go the opposite way around. Good. Okay, we're going to do a similar thing, but now instead we're going to sort of hover our hands around about our shoulders. And then as we go round, they kind of move around the shoulder area. You don't have to lock them in place, so they can just sort of glide around on the shoulders the best you can here, rotating it round. If you can't do a big full circle round, even if it's a smaller version, that's absolutely fine as well. Just do what you can here to get those shoulders going round. Nice. Just mobilizing, getting everything moving, everything flowing nicely. Also, if you need to, you can do this single arm if that's something that you require, or you can do one side for a couple of times, then the other side, or alternating. So there are options there. You don't have to stick rigidly to exactly how I'm doing it. If you feel like, oh, I can do one and then I can do the other, that's absolutely fine as well. But let's change direction now and go the opposite way around. So I'll give you those examples again. So you can either go both arms round. You can do just one arm round. You can alternate. Or you do one for a couple of times and then change over to the other side. Whatever feels right for you, just to get them moving. Good work. Okay, we're going to open it up a little bit more by doing the same sort of movement again, but we're going to do it single arm, and we're just going to do with a straight arm, or at least the best you can with the arm. So we're just going to trace a nice big circle round. I've got some options here for you though. You can do this with a bent arm still, if a straight arm is too much, or you can go for a smaller circle if you can't get the full circle, or you can do both of those things. So a smaller circle with a bent arm, just doing the best you can with that. Try not to go through too much of a range of motion, just nice and gentle. And you can build into it a little bit more in terms of the size of the circle as you go through this. But we have done the a little bit of warm up there to get into this bit. So it should be nice and warmed up and you get a good range of motion for you. And that might look different to my range of motion, and that's absolutely fine. We're all different here. But now let's change direction with our arms, go the opposite way around, doing the best circle that you can do, getting it going around. Okay, let's switch over to the other side and get that one going around as well. And I'm feeling like I'm not getting quite as good range of motion as I usually do. I must admit, I've been a bit slacking over the last couple of weeks. What can I say? The weather's been great here in the UK, so I've been making the most of it. We get one good summer every 4 years, so I was like, that's it. I'm not excited these 4 weeks. I'm going outside. Nice work. Okay, let's change direction. Go the opposite way around. Good. Well, let's go back to some shoulder rotations. Just to ease out of that one there a little bit. So just going around one direction and then change direction and go the opposite way. Good. Alrighty, so our shoulders are a little bit more warmed up. They're a little bit more pliable, and in that state, it's a really good time now to do a little bit of stretching. So to do this first stretch here, what we're going to do is bring both arms back behind you, or like about this position, and then we're going to reach one arm right the way forwards, and then we bring it back, both arms back behind us, or the best we can. I'm going to show you it from a other angle, and then the other arm forwards, and then we're going to go back and forth between those two. Okay, keep that going, but as you do so, I'm going to just give some explanations. So here we want to bring it back so we feel a stretch across the front of the chest here. So just bring those arms back sort of in line or behind us. And then when we reach forwards, we want to push that shoulder forwards in the joint. Feel that stretch if you can feel in this area, sort of the back of the armpit. And then bring it back and then over to the other side. And it might be a big stretch for you. It might only be a little stretch. But I want you to be able to feel at least a bit of a stretch here as you do so. And this one's quite a good one here. It's stretching those muscles that are often causing you to be in a hunched over position. So stretching them out can really help us to sit up a little bit nice and straighter. Good work. Okay, so that's our chest and our upper back stretched a little bit. We're going to do a little bit more here. We're going to reach over towards one side. And don't worry if you can't reach all the way over above your head, that's fine. I'm going to show you an alternative in a second. And then over to the other side. If you can't bring your arm up above your head, we can come up and across instead, or even just directly across. It changes the stretch a little bit, but some form of stretch that you're able to do is better than one that you're not able to do. So just do the one that you can do here if it's all the way over, or if it's coming across the body, whichever you can do here. And here again, it should feel like a bit of a stretch if you can feel in that area, sort of down the back of the armpit area with this. Okay, ease out of it and give it a little bit of a shake off there. We're going to go into our rotator cuffs now to stretch those a little bit. I'm going to come diagonally here a bit because it's a bit easier to show this one like this. So you've got two options. Do the first one if you can, second one if you can't, do the first option. So the first option is elbows up, and we're going to have our thumbs pointed up. I can do one thumb pointed up, not the other. But then we rotate it back, and then rotate it all the way down. So just going back and forth between these positions here. So I'd say thumbs up, pointing back, and then bring it down like so. Now, if you're struggling to keep the arms up in that position, not a problem. The alternative here is to keep the elbows tucked into the side and then rotate out instead. Similar stretch in terms of that position and that position. This one's a little bit more intense with the arms up, but this might just be what you can do. So that's your alternative if you can't keep those elbows raised. So just do what you can on that one. And you should feel a bit of a deep stretch like inside the shoulder joint. It should feel like it's not like on the surface. It's like deep within. Almost like it feels like it's in the middle of that shoulder. Yeah, then ease that off. And let's do a little bit more shoulder rotation as we begin to end this shoulder mobility, shoulder stretching, etc. work that we've just been doing here. Good. Alrighty, we're going to bring the breathing back into it a little bit more now. So let's just do a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and keep that going. Now what we're going to do is as we breathe, we're going to do some arm movements that link to our breathing. So we'll start with both hands up around about chest height. And then as you breathe out, you're going to push one hand forwards. As you breathe in, you're going to pull it back in again. Then you can swap over to the other side. Breathe out, push out. Breathe in, pull in. And the most important thing here is to try and link the arm movement with the breathing. So the breathing dictates how long that you move your arm for. So however long it takes you to breathe out, that's how long it takes you to move the arm out. However long it takes you to breathe in, that's how long it takes to bring that arm back in again. So link the breathing. Don't do it with my timing, do it with your breath timing. So just breathe out, then breathe in when you pull it in. Good. Okay, once you started to link that with your breathing, now try and make it as smooth as you can. So nice smooth movements with the arms, linking it with the breath. So it's not one movement and then another. It's one long flowing movement that transitions into another long flowing movement. Still with the breath though. So nice flowing movement, pushing the arm out as you breathe out, bringing it in as you breathe in, flowing onto the other side. Good work. And if you are struggling with balance here as well, you're more than welcome just to rest one arm down in front of you, do one side, and then swap over if you need to. But if you can, try and keep that balance. We're working our core a little bit here as we're doing the breathing. Good. Keep that going. I'm just going to turn to the side. And what we're going to do now is when we push it forwards, we're going to reach forwards a little bit more and bring the head down as we go forwards. Notice here though, I'm leaning the other arm on my lap as I do so as support. And then I bring it back in. And then I push the other arm out and I'm using the other arm to support there. So as I push my left arm out, my right arm comes down onto my lap to support me so I don't fall forwards and I can get back up again. And then I bring it back in. And also we want to link that breathing as well. So breathe out, reach as far forwards as we can, and then breathe in, bring it back in again. Good. Okay, we're going to extend it a little bit more now. So as we breathe out, we push the arm forwards, but instead of coming straight back, we're going to bring the arm up and over, or at least the best you can. Let me repeat that on the other side. So you bring the arm forwards, push it forwards, and then reach up, over, and back. And I'll do it again. So push the arm forwards, breathe out, and then breathe in as you bring it up and over. If you can't bring the arm up and over, though, you bring it forwards and then just up to the side, or as however high you can get with it there. So it's just nice, easy movements. And this just creates like a nice connection between our breathing and our movements. So it feels like everything's connected here as we're doing this. And we're being very mindful of our movements, but hence the name of this session that we do here. So it's just trying to link you, not just going through the movements and just not thinking about it as you're doing it, but actually having some sort of connection to each time you move, and doing the breathing in the same time helps you to do that. Good. Okay. Bring it into the middle again. We're going to do a similar thing, but instead of going out to the front, we're going to go out to the side next. So we just bring one arm out to the side and we'll start simple again. Bring it back in. Breathe out as you push out. Breathe in as you pull it in. And simply repeat that. One side, then the other. Reach out the best you can, but if you can't reach all the way out, even if it's just a small range of motion, that's fine. And this is why we want plenty of space around us when we do these as well. I got a lot more space than I had in Japan to move my arms around. Good work. Okay, let's start to extend that a little bit more now. So as you reach out to the side, you can use the opposite hand to hold on if you need to. Going to bring it out and try and bring the ear almost onto the arm as you do so, and bring it back out to the other side. And just like everything else, link the breathing in. Breathe out as you push out. Breathe in as you pull in. And use that other arm if you need to, just to support yourself so you don't tip over. If you feel like you are, just go less distance. Breathe out as you push out. Breathe in as you pull it in. Okay, let's extend this one a little bit more now as well. So as you reach out to the side, instead of coming straight back, we're going to come outside, then up and over the top, and then down. And the best way to describe this is if you're trying to put on a seatbelt. So you reach out to the side, very flamboyantly putting on a seatbelt, but you bring it up, over, and then clip it into the other side. That's it. So reaching out to the side, up, over, and then down to this side here, almost where your pocket is if you have pockets. And if you can't bring your arm up and over, just bring it round to the front instead. Just whatever you can do to move that arm in a good range of motion for you. But it's still within your comfortable range of motion, but it's still extended at the same time. Bring it in there, give it a nice little shake off. And we are halfway through the session. So now I'd like to give yourselves a little hydration break. So if you've got a drink with you, this is the time to drink it. If you haven't, I always recommend bringing a drink to the sessions, even when it's the mindful movement sessions, the easier ones. Staying hydrated is always important, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Good work. Alrighty, how are we all doing so far? Good, getting some thumbs up. That's what we like to see. Be terrible if you all just went thumbs down, wouldn't it? Well, no, what have I done? Anyway, alrighty. Well, as I said, it's always good to see you guys again. And now we've had our little hydration break, we are going to move on to one that we always do here, and that I've especially noticed since not doing as much exercise over the last couple of weeks. I've noticed that my neck hasn't had as good mobility and it hasn't had as good function. So I always emphasize try and get these movements in as often as you can. I try and do once a day. Usually I've lacked on that and I've suffered as a consequence of it. So please do try and keep up with these ones the best you can. Once a week is a great starting point. That's why I always put it into this session. Twice a week's even better. That's why I always put it into the end of the other session as well. 3 times a week's even better. Maybe 7 times a week is a bit excessive sometimes, but at least I know that it's a good routine that I can get myself into again. So let's get ourselves into a nice comfortable position, and we're going to start with some nice easy movements, looking up, then looking down, and just nice and simple, going back and forth between the two, nice and gentle. And these don't need to be crazy ranges of motion, just nice and comfortable, looking up and looking down. As we look down, that's called flexion. And as we look up, that's called extension. Those are 2 of the 4 movements that the vertebrae in our spine are capable of. We're going to go through all 4 of those movements in this little session that we've got here. And that's just going to help us to make sure we're taking our neck through the range of motion that it's designed to. So just keep looking up and down, flexion and extension for now. Because when we go through our normal modern day-to-day lives, often we're not taking our neck through its range of motion that it's designed to do. It's designed to be highly mobile. It's designed to help us to look and listen in lots of different directions. But often with our modern lives, looking at screens, whatever it may be, we tend to have it locked in position for long periods of time. So doing these sort of movements helps just take it through the ranges of motion it's designed to do. And the more often we do this, the more often the neck does what it's supposed to do, and the more often it feels the way it's supposed to, which is not hurting, basically. Good. Okay, the next time you find yourself looking down, I just want you to hold that position for a little bit and just almost let gravity take over for a second. So looking down in the flexion position, and just let gravity take over. Feel your head sinking down without your shoulders coming down at the same time. Just feel your head sinking down, chin on the chest, and you may find a little bit of a stretch in the back of your neck. You might not, but that's okay. Just feeling this position here and just relaxing into it. and breathe into it. If you're struggling to breathe because you're in that position, just come back out of it again and then go back in once you're ready. Don't hold your breath here unnecessarily. Good. Let's ease out of it now. Let's do a couple of looking up and downs. Okay, the next time we find ourselves looking up now, let's hold that position. Now, for some of you, this might be enough just to feel a stretch through the front of the neck. But if you want to increase the stretch more, first of all, let's close our mouth here, and you'll feel a little bit more of a stretch in the front of the neck here. But if you want to take it one step further, you can take your hand and gently put it on top of the area, sort of around the top of the sternum area, and gently pull it down as you're keeping the mouth closed, as you're looking up. And you definitely should feel the stretch through the front of the neck there as you do this. Let's ease out of it there. Nice. Just do a couple of looking up and downs as you ease out of it. Just helps to reset it a little bit. Okay. Next, we're going to go on to the third of the four movements, which is rotation, which is looking to the left and looking to the right. So this is our rotation here. We just go back and forth between the two to a range of motion that you feel comfortable with. Just nice and easy, looking left, looking right. Good. You might start to feel on this one maybe a little bit more like it needs that stretch. And usually that feeling of feeling like you need to stretch isn't generally down to a tight muscle. It's usually down to a weak muscle. It's quite a long explanation. I've explained it a lot over over previous videos in the past, but essentially that feeling of tightness is usually linked to a response that comes from a weak muscle rather than a tight muscle. So although stretching and mobility can help quite a lot with that, especially with the relief of that feeling, it's not a long-term solution. The best thing to do here is to help to strengthen our neck. And even doing simple movements like this, we are strengthening our neck because our heads are quite heavy. And just mobilizing them, moving them through the ranges of motion they're designed to do is helping to strengthen them up. So although we're not, we're not doing dumbbells here or resistance bands, we are still working those neck muscles. They're designed to move the head. Moving the head means they're going through the range of motion they're designed to, with the load that they're designed to do as well. And that helps to strengthen them and to keep them nice and healthy. Okay, let's start to stretch them now a little bit. So next time you find yourself looking to the left, hold that position. Keep yourself sat up nice and straight, your shoulders in line. And then you may feel a little bit of a stretch. Well, we're looking to the left, so on the right side, you may feel a little bit of a stretch, sort of between the jaw and the collarbone. If you can't feel it, let's increase that a little bit by still looking to the left hand on the right collarbone, and gently pull diagonally downwards towards the right armpit. So we're looking to the left arm or left hand on the right collarbone, gently pulling it diagonally downwards towards the right armpit. And that way you're increasing that distance between the jaw and the collarbone and causing that stretch there. Keep the mouth closed here as well. That will help a little bit. Nice. Let's ease out of it there, doing a couple of lefts and rights. And then next time you find yourself looking to the right, let's hold it there. Again, sitting up nice and straight, shoulders in line, looking to the right. We take our right arm onto the left collarbone if you need to, and pull it diagonally downwards towards the left armpit. You may need to play around with the hand position here. Maybe it's on top, maybe it's below, maybe it's a little bit of a harder press in. But you should feel a stretch between the collarbone and sort of the bottom of your jawline there. And when you get that, that's when you know you're in the right position for this stretch. Nice. Ease out of it again. Couple of lefts and rights. Good. Okay, we're going to go on to the fourth movement here, which is lateral flexion. So we did flexion, extension, rotation. Now lateral flexion is where you bring one ear to one shoulder and then one ear to the other shoulder. Almost like when you see a dog go, hoo. They do this movement quite a lot. And out of all of them, this is probably the one that you'll find feels like it needs the stretch the most. And that's because out of all the movements we do in our day-to-day lives, this is probably the one we do the least. But just this simple act of bringing one ear to one shoulder, one ear to the other shoulder, back and forth between the two, can do a huge amount to help strengthen it, because we're literally going against gravity to pull it back up again. And although it's not a big, strong, like it's not like a bicep curl with a heavy weight, it's still a lot of weight in your head that your neck muscles have to work to pull it back up in line. And that simple movement is strengthening those neck muscles. The stronger the neck muscles, the more resilient they are, and the better they are at dealing with whatever we put them through. So there's less chance of things like injury, and it will feel more comfortable in the long run. And also, we're getting some good mobility in at the same time. So there's lots of benefits here. And for those who are new to my sessions, I do tend to throw a lot of information out there. If you need any clarity on anything I say, please just, reach out to Liz. She's got my email. We can get in contact and help you to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But I do tend to repeat myself a lot as well over sessions. So eventually it will start to make a bit more sense. And you can understand why we do these movements, not just doing what I say, rather than learning. I prefer to teach as well as to coach as well. So just to help you understand why we do these things, not just because they feel nice. But that's a good benefit too. Good. Okay, we're going to increase that stretch a little bit more now. So sitting up nice and straight. Let's bring the left ear to the left shoulder. So we're opening up a bit of a gap here. Now this might be enough for you to feel a stretch on the right side, but if it's not, then we've got some options for you. But the first one is just to drop the arm down by the side. So the left ear is as close to the left shoulder as it can be, and the right arm is dropping down, and we're trying to pull that shoulder down towards the floor, and you're going to feel that stretch. So between the ear and the shoulder there. Good. If that's good for you, you can always hold that. But if you need to, you can always change it up a little bit by putting the arm behind you instead. That just shifts the stretch a little bit. And you may find that this is either more comfortable, or you get more of a stretch, or you may find the opposite is true with just bringing the arm down. So just feel what works for you, either arm behind you, which you may struggle if you're in a power chair to do this, or arm just straight down. Just feeling that stretch out on that right side. Good. Let's ease out of it there. Do a couple of lefts and rights. And then next time you bring your right ear to the right shoulder, let's hold that position. Drop the right arm down. And this is especially where I'm feeling it quite a bit recently. on this side. So just getting that stretch in between the left ear and the left shoulder. So the right ear and the right shoulder are coming closer together. That's separating the distance between the left ear and the left shoulder. And we can do that even more by bringing that shoulder down, by pushing that arm down towards the floor, or bring it behind us as well. Let's say both do it slightly differently, but still getting a good benefit from a good stretch there. Good. Let's ease out of it there. A couple of lefts and rights. Nice. Okay, so we've got a mobilized neck there. I will say with that, if you haven't done it for a while or you haven't done it before, you may feel tomorrow, maybe the next day, you get a little bit of aching in the neck. That's perfectly normal, perfectly natural. We're going through a good range of motion, and usually we feel it a little bit the next day, especially if we're not used to it. But the more you do it, the better you'll get used to it, and the more it'll feel okay the next day. And you'll get to a point where you don't feel any sort of like strain or that in your neck, but you may feel a little bit of weakness, a little bit of soreness in the neck tomorrow. That's perfectly normal. We're going to go through the rest of our spine now. So the vertebrae that we just did are just the top ones of the neck there. We're going to go through the rest of our spine. So to do that, we're going to do a flexion extension again. So the same as what we did with the neck, we flex and extend. We're going to do this now with the rest of our body. So we're going to curl forwards. That's our flex position. And then we're going to extend through. Now, I've got a couple of options here as well for you. If you're able to do it here, this is a great way to do it. You can use the frame. I like to put my hand sort of under my legs and use that as a sort of a locked position where I can curl over efficiently and then pull through and arch back and go back and forth between the two. However, if you can't do this sort of position, you've got another option. The other one is just to curl over on the lap. That should be pretty easy and straightforward, just to curl over a little bit like that. And then we can just sit up nice and straight and sort of look upwards towards the sky. However, do be careful you don't tip backwards on this one because we are putting ourselves in a position where that's more likely. So just going back and forth between curling over, and we like to say curling over like a prawn, and then arching back like a high jumper going over a pole. So that's the two positions that we like to think about. So curl over and then arch back. And just go back and forth between the two. And you may notice that as you go through this, you can get just a little bit more range of motion on each one as your body sort of eases into it, especially if you're somebody who uses a wheelchair or just sat down all your day, basically, because this just takes us through a range of motion that's not used to as such, but it just helps to get in that position, starts to mobilize it. And I noticed on the first ones, like I'm like, can barely move, but then like after about 6 or 7, it starts to open up and I start to flow between the two a little bit more nice and controlled there. Good work. Okay, we're going to go into some rotation now. So we've done the flexion extension. We're going to rotate. So we rotate round to one side like so. You can use your arms to help you. And then we go back round to the other side. And just go back and forth between the two and just go through a range of motion that is comfortable. If you're like myself, especially with a spinal cord injury or something similar, where it means that you can't feel this area, don't go through a range of motion that feels like there's too much resistance there. Just go to where it feels like a comfortable, small amount of resistance, and then go back round to the other side. And just nice and easy between the two. You may notice after a couple that you can maybe get a little bit further quite easily, and that's fine as well. Just go through easy range of motion, especially if you can't feel this area. It's just nice, easy, gentle movements back and forth between the two. Good. Okay, we're going to do our lateral flexion. So like the neck, we did the flexion, which was the curling over, the extension, which is the sitting up or arching like a high jumper. We did the rotation there, which is similar to when we did the neck. And then the same as what we did with the lateral flexion, bringing one knee to one shoulder and the other, we're going to bring our body over to one side and then the other. Notice here as well, I'm using the opposite hand to hold on and pull myself back up as we do so. But what I want you to focus on here is to come almost like you've got a pane of glass in front of you here and behind you, and you're slipping in between the two. That means we're not leaning forwards to do this. We're staying in a nice straight line and going down to one side and down to the other. And naturally, that should curl the spine over to the side or laterally flex it, as the name suggests on this one. And I do manage to get down to the floor, but I have freakishly long arms, as I've been told. So it's very easy for me to get down to the floor. So don't worry if you can't get all the way down. Just focus on the curling over to one side and then to the other. Good work. So yeah, I'm 6'2" height, but I got 6'7" arm span, so it's I'm out of proportion for normal stuff. But it was good when I was a swimmer, so that always helped. I've also got size 13 feet, which massively helps as a swimmer as well. So useless at running though I was. I just blamed on kept tripping over myself. Good. Okay, for this one, we've done our four movements. We just like to add a little bit extra one in the end. I feel this one just feels good and also just kind of gets in between the two. And some of you already started there. We're going to come round as if we're in a whirlpool and just going round just like so. And I just feel this one just simply feels nice, I think, out of all of them. Get good range of motion, good mobility. And change direction. Nice. And let's give that a nice little shake off there. So we've got 7 minutes here before we end today's session. But before we go into the end, we're just going to do a little bit of meditation work just to help relax us and to take us into the rest of the day in a nice relaxed state. So if you want to drink beforehand, in fact, I'm going to do that. Have a drink now, and then we will go into this meditation part. And it's just a nice, easy thing that we do here. Good. Okay. So for this, take time if you're drinking, don't rush. But we are wanting to get ourselves into a nice, relaxed position where all our focus is inwards. Okay. And to do this, we're going to do a meditation that is going through a forest scene. And what we do when we do this, I'm going to guide you every step of the way. But what we do when we do this is focus on each sense as we go through. So our sight, our smells, the sounds, and all those kind of things. And by focusing on the scene that we imagine in our mind, we start to block out the stuff around us. And what that does is brings everything inwards, helps us to really relax the nervous system and to calm us down and to put us in a state where we feel very relaxed. And this is a really helpful thing to do at any time. You know, it's really great during a session like this, but it's also really great if you're ever feeling anxious or stressed, or if you're having any sort of panic attack, to put yourself somewhere which is nice and relaxing, nice and calm, and something that you have full control over. So I'm going to guide you every step of the way here. And if you want to stop at any point, that is up to you. You can do that as such. So close down your eyes when you're ready to, and just have a nice normal breathing rhythm going here. And as I said, we're going to picture a forest scene. But first of all, we're going to start painting that picture with our vision. So start to imagine a forest scene, whether it's one that you're familiar with, whether it's one that you're not sure, you know, you've made it up completely, or if it's an amalgamation of ones that you've been to before. For myself, I just picture one that's actually quite close to here. It's just one that I'm very familiar with. So it's easy for me to paint that picture. It's not the prettiest forest in the world. It's not the most majestic or anything like that. It's just one that I'm very familiar with. And that helps me just to get more immersed in the scene. So feel free to do the same, or if you want to make one up, just start to picture it now. Picture the color of the leaves, the trees, picturing the floor, the bushes or plants that may be on the floor, seeing the light coming through the trees and dancing all over the leaves. Maybe there's some wind coming through and you're just picturing how it's interacting with the scene. Whatever it may be, with whatever forest you're in, just start to bring it to life with that vision of yours, and start to almost picture the texture as well on the trees. Get quite detailed with it. Imagine what the branches look like, the leaves do, what the forest floor looks like. Are there leaves on the floor that are crunching, or is it a dirt path, a stony path, whatever it may be? Start to just really build it up, add more detail, and just really focus in here on the details of the scene that you're creating. And maybe there's some wildlife here as well. Maybe there's rabbits going through. Maybe there's birds in the trees, whatever it may be. Just start to picture it there in your mind, bringing it to life however you want to bring it to life. Now let's start to bring some sound into it as well. So start to imagine, you know, if you've got that wind going through the leaves, start to imagine what that sounds like, that rustling sound as it does so. Maybe those birds are making some chirping noises. Maybe there's other people there as well, and they can hear their soft talking or crunching their leaves under their foot. Whatever it may be, start to build that up in your mind. Let's start to bring in our smell now as well. Imagining what that forest smells like, that woody smell. Maybe it's sweet because there's flowers. Maybe there's that smell of the rain in the distance. Whatever it may be, start to picture that too. We've got our visual, we've got our audio, and we've got our smell as well. Really trying to build up that image within our mind. Build your scene and make it somewhere that feels more believable that you're there. Now we want to bring in some touch as well. So pick something in your scene, whether it's the tree bark, a leaf, maybe it's one of those animals, maybe it's just the floor, but just imagine yourself touching it. I like to imagine for myself just rubbing my fingers over a leaf and just feeling that texture and seeing what it feels like from my memory, what that leaf feels like, how it feels in my hand, and just using that to emphasize it. Also focus on the leaf, you know, the color, the sounds are still there, the texture of the leaf, the smell, everything is just adding to the scene that you're in. Now, I only do this normally once through these sessions because I like to stay within the zone. But I want you just to check in with how you feel within your nervous system. Do you feel calm, relaxed? If so, that's the idea of this session, is to bring the focus onto something else and the rest of your body starts to relax, especially when we focus on our senses. It just helps to relax that nervous system, helps to put it in a state of calm and to really help us to relax and to focus on what we got doing next. So let's keep focused there in the zone. And now let's bring those scenes down. So start to close that scene down within your mind, all of the bits and pieces as it comes to nothing again. Good. Keep your eyes closed here. And whilst we're in this moment, I just want you to thank yourself for being here today. As we were said in the beginning, often the hardest thing is just to turn up. So you turned up and you went through this whole 1 hour session. So that, I feel like, deserves a round of applause for yourself, pat on the back, or just a congratulations. However you want to say thank you to yourself, remind yourself that this was a good thing that you did today. When you're ready to, you can start to open up your eyes, bring it back to the room. And even with my eyes closed, I managed to get it bang on the hour, which I'm very happy with. Excellent work, everybody.